This is a 75 champ that came in a while back, and I fixed the amp a good while ago, but this is the one where someone had carved it all up for a 10-inch speaker, and these are all loose, and it wasn't a very good fit, and the owner said, well, what are our options? And I said, well, the real deal option, let's get a new cab for it because it's a 75, and I'll transfer the logo, and we'll put in a really good sounding 8-inch speaker, and it'll be a great champ. And then we'll give it a 1/4-inch jack instead of an RCA jack for the speaker connection. And you can use it with all your other speaker cabs, 4 ohms. It'll be fine either way. And then you'll have, by itself, it'll just be a great little champ. And if you plug in something else, it'll sound huge. So we got this Mojotone Repro cab, which looks great, looks pretty much brand new. It will age appropriately, and I can transfer the logo, and it takes an 8-inch speaker. Viola. Let's get this all put together. All right, speaker in, new speaker cable wired up. I showed how to do that in the video the other day on speaker installation tips. This is the cab from Mojotone. And overall, it's really fantastic and certainly an upgrade over the 75 version of the champ. 2 things I found. So if anyone from Mojotone sees this, there's a visible glue line on the bottom of the cab where the Tolex was wrapped around front and back. It'd be nice if that had been wiped up in the process. Right now, it feels like it's a rubber cement. I probably could get that off, but I'm not going to mess with it. That's probably an extra hour for something that very few people will ever see, but it's nice to get that more cleaned up in the process. More importantly, here and here, these screws which go in and hold the chassis to the cabinet through the chassis straps, the holes that you guys put in the Tolex as it's wrapped under, the holes were through the Tolex here, but they weren't through the Tolex on the bottom. So when I tried to put the screw through it, it pulled the Tolex down. Now I went in there and I opened up the hole from the bottom, and I glued that back down here and here. And, it's not a huge deal, but, I do this for a living. If someone were, a typical guitarist who bought a replacement cab, they may not know how to fix that, but they would come away with a bad feeling about your product. So, I think that's something that should be really checked on every one of these. Make sure that the holes can accept the screws with no issues, because the average owner won't know how to deal with that. Back to the sunshine and light part of things. There are 3 screws per cleat. That's better than the Fender did on any of the old champs, and that really does make a difference. So we went with the G8C in here, a nice choice for a 60s, 70s champ, and you'll get a chance to hear that a bit later. But first, let's transfer the old logo over. So here's the old logo held in place by 2 screws. I took the screws out. I can see where the holes are. Take my construction square and see that is right at 1 inch down. So I write that down. And then I can say from the left, that is just a smidge under 5 inches. I'm going to call it 5 inches because I think that's what the template was intending. And that the screw just went a little to the left. So do the same thing for this other screw hole. This is down 2 inches. Writing it down. And again, just under 2 inches. The same amount under 2 inches, this was under 5 inches. So I'm going to say that was intended to be 2 inches as well. So that makes it very easy for a 75 champ. They had this 2 inches and 2 inches and 1 inch and 5 inches. Now, I've measured that. Let me confirm all my measurements because I have been known to make mistakes. We all have. Yep, 2 inches. Yep. So, measure thrice if necessary. Cut once. You'll never regret confirming things a few times before you make a permanent change. Let's get the other one up on the bench and transfer those dimensions. All right, I used some blue painter's tape So I could use a Sharpie to mark the 2 hole centers where they needed to be. Again, going off this right angle and going off this right angle. Pre-drilled with a much smaller bit, so I didn't want to take any chances of splitting anything. And then I enlarged to just beneath the size of the screws. Then I put the screws in by hand, because you don't want to strip this. You get one shot at it a lot of the time. And then once I was sure it was good, here it is. And here's what it sounds like. The G8C has pretty good low end for an 8-inch speaker, but it is still an 8-inch speaker. Anyway, I did that with a few basic effects just to show how most people would use this home practice amp. You can turn it up and get some actual distortion out of the amp itself, but it's a pretty nice sounding little pedal platform now, even if you don't turn it up. And yeah, it's only got maybe 1 or 2 tricks up its sleeve, but they're nice and time tested. Thanks for watching.